Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. I hope you're doing well. Um, it seems that Anthony Joshua is a wanted man. I suppose you could say he was always a wanted man because that's where the money is. And any heavyweight who wants a big paycheck, Joshua's your man. He doesn't have any belts, but that doesn't seem to have diminished the desire for people to fight him. And certainly on the back of his victory over Otto Wallin, um, he's more popular than ever. Because people now see him as having gained a modicum of redemption, and they think, okay, if I add his name to my resume and get paid in the process, win-win. Okay, well, the two people, amongst others, the two, I think, most notable people who've called him out are Zhilei Zhang. This is post the Otto Wallin fight. Zhilei Zhang, who did an interview in which I think he reiterated what he said before, is that he'd like to fight Joshua. He congratulated him on the victory. He said that in his opinion, the Joshua win was his favourite of the whole of the Day of Reckoning card. Okay, fair enough. I think there were better fights on that card, but yeah, you know. And he, of course, Zhang wants to fight Joshua because in the Olympics, the 2012 Olympics, Joshua beat Zhang, and I think I'm right in saying he floored him, but don't quote me on that. I may be getting that wrong. I think he did floor him. Anyway, he beat him on points, so there was an element of revenge there, and it's understandable. But Zhang also said, "Look, I'm a southpaw. Joshua's faced Wallin, who's a southpaw, Usyk twice, another southpaw." Fight me. And of course, as we know, Zhang he's no spring chicken. He's 40, I think, now. But he's a very, very big, powerful man with a high ring IQ. Very, very well schooled. You saw that, the way he finished off Joe Joyce. Brilliant, what was it now, a right hook, wasn't it, that flattened Joyce. But he kind of lured him in. Not that Joyce leads much luring in. Got him in close. Jabbed, I think, was it a jab to the body and then the right hook? I seem to remember. Anyway, as we know, he flattened Joyce. And if he lands clean on Joshua, the same effect will happen. But of course, Joshua himself is no slouch in the boxing skills department. And also, he hits extremely hard. Now, the one thing I said about Otto Wallin, the Otto Wallin fight, is that Joshua seemed to have the perfect balance between technique and power. He wasn't sacrificing his power, but at the same time he wasn't relying on it, and he was showing some very good boxing skills against a guy who is himself a very good boxer. So I think it's definitely an interesting matchup. Zhang versus Joshua, wouldn't object to it at all. Zhang also said when it was mentioned that Joshua is perhaps going to fight Filip Hrgović for the IBF title when it's vacated, and a lot of people seem to expect it to be vacated once Fury and Usyk fight. He said, well, who wants to watch that? You know, if I go in there with Joshua, Zhang versus Joshua is going to have the intrigue and the attention and obviously the financial clout of the whole of Britain and the whole of China. And of course, China's a massive country with an enormous population. So yes, it does make financial sense. And again, it's a good fight. Would I rather see Joshua face Zhang than Hrgović? To be honest, I'd rather see Hrgović first, because I think that's a more intriguing fight, even more so than the Zhang fight. Because Hrgović, I rate him. But I still want to see him put it all together, because in his last few fights, throw away the Demore fight, that was just a ridiculous farce. Shouldn't have even been sanctioned, that fight. But in his last few fights, he has shown vulnerabilities. I'm curious to know whether Joshua could beat him. I think Joshua is perfectly capable of beating Hrgović, of stopping him. But I'm not too sure whether he beats Zhang. It's possible, but I would probably make Zhang the favourite against Joshua. And also, I mean, okay, I get it. He's 40 now, Zhang. So he wants the opportunities now rather than later. But he said when interviewed, he said, look, I don't care about my age. I live the life. I don't eat rubbish. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do anything like that. So he's lived the life. But yeah, I would go with Joshua versus Hrgovic first, and then Zhang later on, definitely. But both intriguing fights, both definitely worthy opponents for Anthony Joshua. The other person who's called out Joshua is Agit Kabayel, whose career has suddenly been dragged from the doldrums right into the spotlight with a fantastic win over Arslanbek Makhmudov. He completely schooled Makhmudov. Makhmudov, for all his intimidating looks and power and prowess, he really does look like a sort of cross between some sort of Neolithical caveman or whatever, and a sort of Bond villain. He couldn't lay a glove on Agit Kabayel. It looked to me like Makhmudov had taken as if Makhmudov had taken Kabayel way too lightly, and he got found out basically. And yeah, Kabayel is the man of the moment. His career had stalled for years. He hadn't really done anything. He's a two-time EBU champ, so it's not like he's been, laying on the sofa eating pizza. But at the same time, it was a brilliant, brilliant performance by Kabayel, and a real revelation, a revelatory performance, you could say. And he wants to fight Joshua as well, obviously, big name, big money. But what's curious about that is that they've sparred a lot. And Joshua had sparred and actually fought in the amateurs. He'd fought Wallin. And I made a video saying that I thought that gave Joshua insight into what Wallin was like and what he could and couldn't do with him. And I know sparring and being under the bright lights is a different proposition. But nevertheless, I think if you know someone or you think you know someone, it instantly creates more confidence, and probably you have the knowledge of that person. Therefore, you can go in and ply your wares without really wondering about the unknown, what might be coming back at you. Well, the same is true with Kabayel, because they have sparred a lot. And Kabayel was very complimentary of Joshua. He said he was glad to see him back. It was a good win over Wallin. He said, but I want to fight. We've sparred. This can work both ways. Because the one thing Kabayel showed against Makhmudov was a supreme amount of confidence and calmness. He was extremely poised against Makhmudov. During the build-up, during the introductions and during the fight, at no point did he seem to be remotely intimidated by Makhmudov. It's as if he knew what was going to happen. And he believed what was going to happen, which was the main thing. Well, against Joshua, he may feel the same. They've sparred together. He may think, yeah, I can beat this guy. No problem. And he'll understand what's in front of him. He'll understand that Joshua brings a lot of stuff that's dangerous to him. But once you accept that, you can work on ways to nullify the opponent's strength. And Kabayel seems to me, you see him interviewed, he speaks very, very good English. He seems like an intelligent guy, someone who is able to sort of sift through the possibilities without letting any sort of hypotheticals intimidate him. He kind of knows what he can do well, will stick to it, and he knows what Joshua can do well. And the flip side of that is that Joshua may feel, yeah, I've sparred him, I can handle him, I'll fight. I think Joshua will fight anyone. He's proved that in the past, in his career. That's why I've got a lot of time for Joshua. But Kabayel, yeah, I think Kabayel would be a threat, definite threat to Joshua. Who would I make favourite in that fight? I might give a slight edge to Joshua, maybe, but I don't know. I mean, it's one of those 50-50 things to me in my head at the moment. I'd have to think about it before I made a real prediction. They do say you're only as good as your last fight, and now people are saying, well, it's a breaking out party for Kabayel beating Makhmudov, and Joshua's beaten Wallin, so he's back to the old AJ. I mean, probably neither is true. Probably, Kabayel's a good fighter, but he beat Makhmudov, which is a great result, but it doesn't necessarily mean he'll beat other fighters who are in the top 10. And Joshua, of course, excellent against Wallin, but it doesn't mean he can now beat everyone. It doesn't mean the old killer AJ is back, although the signs are very, very promising. So, yeah, everyone wants Anthony Joshua, unsurprisingly. But who would you like to see him in with? I mean, leave your suggestions below. Just comment on who you'd like to see him, or who you think he should fight, or who you think would win if he fought Zhang or Kabayel. just give me your opinions. I think this is an interesting development in the heavyweight division. That Day of Reckoning card really did boost the heavyweight division a great deal. And we've got, Parker's back, Joshua supposedly back to near his best. Okay, Kabayel did well. Sanchez was on the card, and a bit of a mixed bag from Frank Sanchez, but he's still a very, very good heavyweight. And then you've got Jai Opataya saying, "I want to move to heavyweight eventually," or finish your work at cruiserweight, mate. He's very small for the. He's quite a small cruiserweight. Never mind heavyweight. But yeah, I really like Opataya, but no, stay at cruiser, man. Stay at cruiser. Anyway, comments below. Let me know what you think. Thank you for your time as always. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new and hit the like button and spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing. Catch you later. Bye for now.